Welcome to my humble little office. My name is R. Keith Andrews. I'm a spiritual guide and paranormal adept. The journey continues today on February 15th, 2022 at approximately 9:20 a.m. PST. Well done, people. The world is starting to shift. People are starting to actually pay attention to each other, to actually reach out and help each other. This is what we've been waiting for.
Unknown caller.
Well, that was annoying. It's called a phone call I didn't want to deal with. Anyway, I returned to this world, this lifetime, for one primary purpose, and that is to remind people that working together, we can make this a better world for virtually everybody. Now, I'm very happy to say that I'm seeing more and more reports of people working together from all walks of life, striving to help each other. Okay, now I'm talking the common people. Okay, I'm not talking your politicians. I'm not talking any specific group, such as what many people refer to as the elitists. I'm referring to you people. Okay, now change has to start in the heart. It's got to start with you. Now, one person will not change the entire world, but one person can inspire another to work together to change the world. The way the energy has been running, it's been going on downhill spiral. But what I'm finding more and more, and I saw it just on Facebook again today, I think it was, I'd have to go back and check, and I'm just not going to. I think it was in Ontario. There was a traffic problem where an older gentleman, his scooter fell off the trailer. And instead of everybody honking their horns and driving around him, everybody stopped, put their flashers on, and everybody got out to help people got out to help put this scooter back on the track and get the gentleman on his way. This is what I'm referring to. All of these people put their lives on hold. Instead of rushing off to wherever they were going, they took just the couple of minutes it took for people to put this gentleman back on the road and get him going without a whole lot of stress to anybody. Okay, and that is a very important landmark here. It's happening more and more, which means you're doing what is necessary. Now, there's only 3 laws I ever follow. 3 karmic laws. Be true to yourself first. Do unto others as you desire them to do unto you. Energy out, energy in. Okay, and it seems that people are finally starting to do this. Okay, this last 2 years has been a nightmare for many people. Ironically, I'm a little bit of an exception in this case. And what I mean by that, and do not get me wrong, it doesn't mean it didn't affect me. It doesn't mean that this last 2 years was not an horrendous event. But, unlike most of you, I didn't research the Black Death 700 years ago. I remember living it. Okay. And I told people, turns out I was talking to somebody the other day. It turns out I was spotting this thing happening 3 years before it came. But, that said, I took a look at this whole event, and 10 years before it hit, I started to become reclusive. So when everybody was told, stay away from people, I was already doing that. When the mask came out, to me, it didn't really make a difference. Okay, I mean, it's, no shirt, no shoes, no service, no mask, same thing. Okay, but the real kicker was when the passports came out. And they said, if you don't have a passport, you can't go out to restaurants, etc. Now, for a lot of people, this was a terrible travesty. For me, I've been trying to stop myself from going out to restaurants for a very long time already, as it was costing me $300 to $400 a month, because I don't like to cook. I still don't like to cook, by the way, but When they came out with the passport, I couldn't go out to the restaurant. Oh well, saved me a whole lot of money. Like I said, I'm a little different. Okay, but for most people, it was an horrendous thing. Caused a lot of conflict, a lot of stress. And for people that like being out amongst people, being told you can't be is a terrible ordeal. But by the look of it, society is now pulling together and going, okay, we've got all this going on. We've got conflicting reports. Some people's, and I'm talking professionals and laymen. Okay, almost an even mix. Some people are saying vaccines work. Others are saying they're totally bogus. But the one thing we all seem to be agreeing on at this point is it's time to start life. And this is showing up. People were talking about let's get back to normal, back to what was. Well, I will tell you, what was before this hit was just chock full of more greed and debauchery than I'd seen since Sodom and Gomorrah. Okay, more deception than I'd seen since the Roman Empire. But what's happening now is people are starting to reach out. They're starting to talk to people. They're starting to help each other again. But it's not, in all fairness, they were doing it before, but now it's becoming a posted thing. It's something that people are looking to and are saying, hey, I saw this nice event. The number of deaths, the number of robberies and what have you, are no longer taking primary dominance. Now, this does not mean the bad things don't happen. But it does mean that this message that I've been trying to tell people, I've been telling, that we have to minimize the negative and maximize the positive, is starting to show. And to me, this is a fantastic thing. Give yourselves a pat on the back. Okay. The next thing that's going to start happening is the people that are leading the charge on let's talk about fear, let's scare everybody, let's make everybody anxious about the neighbor. Those people are being moved out of power because the people on the whole are now starting to look at things, or at least this is what is coming across. They're starting to push for people being treated decently. I'm even noticing some people that have been, up until this point, shall we say, a little uncooperative. Pardon that one. Even those people that have been really standoffish are starting to open up and starting to talk. This is the way that we turn society around, how we can take the world and turn it into something much more effective. Okay, much more enjoyable for most people. But it's going to take the efforts of virtually everybody to do it. Now, that's not necessarily as big a problem as you might think. You see, as everyone starts to shift things, okay, and I mean here, you take a look in your own heart and ask yourself, are you content with the way your life is going right now? If the answer is yes, this is fantastic, carry on. If the answer is no, it's time to start shifting. It's time to start making adjustments to how your life is going to get rid of those complications. Now, the reality is you don't have to know where all of this leads. What you have to know is, are you content where you are? And if not, are you willing to put the effort in to change where you are? Because you cannot alter the past anyway. You are stuck with the past the way it was. Okay. There's a lot of people that talk about the idea of time travel. Let's go back in history and change it, and thereby make this a better world. Doesn't work that way. Because ironically, and I saw it in a movie one day that said it beautifully. When you go into the past, that past becomes your present. It does not become your past. It becomes your present. Okay, and therefore, when you come back to your current point in time, that is still your present. You haven't changed anything. Okay, all you've done is something more. Now, that said, since you can't go into the past in the first place, it doesn't really matter. You can jump forward in time, but you cannot jump backwards. And that just answered the question I've been trying to figure out for the longest time. But now that I've got that sorted out, I can deal with that. The reality of life is this. The past is written. It's already done. There is no changing it. You cannot undo that which you've done. But you can change the path that you've been going, that you've been following. You can change your current behaviors to ensure you don't repeat a past behavior. The best way I ever heard it put was when you're looking at things, the best description for insanity was once stated. I heard it this way: repeatedly doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different outcome. That's a good definition of insanity. If what you've been doing hasn't been working, it's likely time to try to go down a different road. And yes, it does seem that my throat is not working as well as I'd like, so I will apologize for that. By the way, if you do like this video, absolutely give us a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Okay, this message has got to get out to people. It's no longer the time to fear your neighbor. It's time to get to know your neighbor. Time to get to know the people that you're around and let them get to know you. Now, this does not mean you have to go out and become buddy-buddy with everybody. Okay, I'm not telling you who to worship. I'm not telling you a lot of things. I will tell you, though, if you're following a spiritual guide that is promoting the idea of making sure you fear everything around you, you might be going down a questionable path. Okay, so worship who you will, go to whatever church you will, but once you're done with your time there, when you come out, okay, realize that everybody is in exactly the same boat you're in. They are right here, right now, with their own struggles, which may not seem much to you. Okay, to them, it's an horrendous problem. Okay, children are a prime example. They'll run into into what you consider a small problem, and they won't know how to deal with it. To them, it is an horrendous event. To you, it may be just simple, but you gotta remember, you already went through that. And the easiest way to put it, well, you probably already went through it. The easiest way to put it is this: problems are easy to deal with once you understand them. My own mother used to have problems with computers, so do I. My older brother was an absolute genius with them. So he'd come to help mom, and he'd tell mom, it's easy. And I had to finally tell my mom that my older brother was right. Computers are absolutely child's play to work with once you understand them. Now, I've been playing with computers since 1979. Okay, so we are looking at, 40 years now? 50 years. 79, 40. Anyway, I've been working with them. I still have troubles getting them to do things. I mean, my own cell phone right now, if I get off the phone, I still have trouble. I've been shown lots of times. My own son keeps showing me how to do it. But I still have trouble figuring out how to hang a cell phone hang a cell phone up if I'm not actually looking at the screen that has the hang up button on it. Okay. The same thing applies to this one post I keep seeing periodically, where it shows a whole pile of different words, completely scrambled, and says only one in so many people can read it. Well, the obvious intent of that is to say, look, spelling doesn't really matter. But the post they forget to mark out, to point out with that, is they can only read it if they can spell properly in the first place. Okay, if they can't spell properly in the first place, you're not going to read it. It doesn't matter how bright you are. Okay, And we have to realize everybody has their own limits. Everybody has their own strengths. But I am seeing more and more people reaching out and helping the people that are having troubles. And this is a fantastic thing. Okay, it's a fantastic situation. The biggest thing we have to realize is that society is only as strong as its most downtrodden. Okay, if the downtrodden, and I do not mean the ones that choose, oh, I don't want to follow society's rules, so I'm going to go and I'm going to complain that I'm very bad, very hard done by. And I've seen people do that, taking advantage of the system. Okay, I'm referring to the ones that are legitimately down on their luck. Okay, that have really made some miscalculations. Whether they were intentional or whether they were trying to push limits or what have you, doesn't matter. They miscalculated. They are now down on their luck. Those are the people that really require help. The ones that are trying to get by on somebody else's shirt tails. And we see this in politics, we see it in business, we see it in the wealthy. Where somebody's born into a situation and they go, oh, because I'm born into it, I'm better than other people. Politely put, no, you're not. Okay. Now, people do make stupid moves. Now, people get into debt way too far. And I will tell you this. You're told, oh, you get into debt, just go bankrupt. Well, here's the problem with that. First and foremost, you got into debt doing whatever you did. Sometimes this happens because somebody scams you. Understandable. Those problems are a pain in the neck. But when you're going out and buying things that are beyond your means, and that's creating the debt, okay, then you run into a problem. That's your choice to make that move. But you're the one that chose to do it. If it's done all above board, and I mean the company was above board, you made the purchase, now you can't afford it. That's your responsibility. If they were above board, then they were doing everything they could. It's like the pharmacies, the pharmaceutical companies that go, here's something that this pill will do for you, and here's a whole stack of things that it'll do to kill you. Please buy my stuff. Now, the pharmaceutical company in a case like that is being absolutely honest. This is what it'll do. Okay. If you're buying their medication, it's your choice. Okay, now there's all kinds of things that go hand in hand with that. But the issue of this bankruptcy that I mentioned, if you dug yourself into it, you're declaring bankruptcy. All you're doing is saying, it's not my fault, it's your fault. It's the company's fault. Let them deal with it. And I will tell you, the two bankruptcies I went through were done at the guidance of so-called professional bankruptcy trustees. Okay. And I'll tell you, when I figured out what they had done years after it happened, I was absolutely not only appalled, but I was absolutely disgusted. Okay. Now, I could go back and go, I'm going to sue them because I went bankrupt. Well, where's the point, first of all? Okay. I followed what they said, I went bankrupt. I will tell you, 9 times out of 10, it may take you a longer time to get out of debt. Okay. But 9 times out of 10, and I might be over-exaggerating, if you're on the verge of bankruptcy and you've still got a little wiggle room, you can actually get out of it. You can get the debts paid, you can get back on track. It may take you a little while, but the critical factor is take responsibility for your own actions, for your own decisions. I'm seeing more and more cases where people are turning around and helping people that are having trouble. Now, a lot of the time, it's just here's a nickel here, here's a nickel here, here's a dime there. The reality is most of these people that you're trying to help, if you're just giving money, more often than not, that money is going to go to the very basics. Now, unfortunately, and rest assured, most of the people on the street are not drug addicts. Most of them are not alcoholics. But I will tell you, it's the drug addicts and the alcoholics that stand out. Much as we have seen, it's the negative people, as the saying goes, the squeaky wheel gets the oil. Well, there are a staggering number of really generous people out there, but the really selfish ones are the ones that tend to stand out. And this is why I've been asking for your assistance to spread this message. Okay. Now, the message is simple. Working together, we can make this a better world for everybody, and for virtually everybody. Now, the convoy, no matter what started it, okay, we take a look at the convoy. Let's go back and go to the issue of the whole pandemic. The start of dealing with it was done with the best intention in mind. And I will tell you, telling people that are sick to stay away from people that aren't, okay, is a good way to slow a pandemic down. That's where it started. The concept was right. Then somebody came up with the idea of, well, first and foremost, let's point the finger at everybody and see if we can figure out somebody to blame. How about if we don't? Okay, scrap where it started. Then somebody decided, hey, I know how I can make money on this. Let's get something and make it almost mandatory to take it. That way I can get wealthy. But as we're finding out, and as it's being posted from all sides, it's almost split down the middle now. That people are saying either the vaccine works or the vaccine doesn't work. Okay. But everybody pretty much is in agreement. It's now readily available. Okay. There used to be a case when, if somebody got a cold, people would stay away from them because, they're ill. But the medication is now readily available. So if you get a cold, you go down, you pick up some medication for it, whether it's natural or whether it's herbalistic. Whether it's herbalistic or whether it's created by man in a laboratory. Either way, you can get medication to deal with it. Okay, I was introduced to a tea that works beautifully. I don't go to the store. I don't go to a pharmacy. I go to the grocery store. Okay, and it's working like a charm. So I'm turning more to that side of it, to really paying attention to what I'm eating, and I'll be dealing with some more modifications now as we go along. But I'm talking to people that know. I'm not talking to people that go, oh, here's a bottle of medication that's natural compounds, take this. To me, there's no difference in essence between a bottle of herbal concoction and a like in pill form that you buy at the store, or a pill that you buy from a pharmacy. It's the same principle. Okay. Now, granted, much of the food that is good for you is difficult to find. So you improvise. Okay, as one person I was talking to put it, things like natural ginger works best for certain things. But your ginger powder that you can buy, okay, is as good. It's just not quite as strong. So keep that in mind. Okay. Now, we're finding people are spending more time helping each other. Or more to the point, it's becoming more visible. I'm not seeing anymore as much on the internet of look at the police brutality, look at the people that are bullying, look at who got ripped off and who's in court for what lawsuit. I'm seeing more of the issue of, this guy broke down by the side of the road. So somebody else turns around, stops, and goes, give him a hand. There is no exchange of money. There's just an exchange of effort. Shake the hands and away they go. This is the way it should be. This is the way back to a world where we can all be happy, where the majority of us can be happy. By the way, in case you hadn't noticed, this is a live recording. Meaning when I get done this recording, I'll double check the date, and then all the stumbles, all the hiccups, all the repeated words that I'm speaking, those are me. If you ever run into me in person, this is the way I am. I do not see the point in changing it, in hiding that, in editing it out of the picture. But what I am finding the majority of time, what's happening is people are becoming much more adept or much more inclined to band together to start helping each other in a positive fashion. And I strongly encourage you to continue doing this. Okay. When I look at this, everybody's got their own projects, everybody's got their own goals. And this funny little list here, I always have one. Okay, I keep it by now. There's a whole bunch of things listed here that I'm running off. These are just what I've got to do in the office at this point. But I'm starting to work on it, and it's working like a charm. You take care of your heart. Figure out what you're content with first. If you're not content with something, absolutely. Either drop me I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. If you've got a question that's more of a personal nature, there's a number of different ways of contacting me, all listed below this video. Okay, where you can drop me a private line, and I will do my best to answer the questions. I've been working in the consulting field publicly since I was 10. Professionally since I was 23. Professionally meaning generating an income. My business currently is doing just that. Consulting, writing, and producing literature. Every one of the books listed on the sheet below this video are available directly through me and are currently in stock. Okay. The reason I did that, by the way, is because things like how to rebuild your self-esteem, how to get yourself motivated, they're all very simple steps. One of the biggest steps in the first challenge anybody has in life on any given day is when you wake up, get out of bed. As soon as you wake up, wait long enough for your eyes to clear so you can see straight. Get out of bed. Do what you have to as far as the washroom goes. Turn around, come back, make your bed, get dressed in whichever order you decide to do that. Okay. Pick the laundry up off the floor and get it to the laundry room. Okay. Now, or wherever you put it. Now, the reason you do this is because your biggest obstacle of the day before you can do anything is get yourself up and mobile. And that's you that's got to do it. You can be encouraged by other people. Parents kind of falls to you to encourage your kids to get up. Okay, until they get to the point where they're doing it of their own accord. But you take care of that first. Make sure that you get you moving. The backbone of the house is your finances. So target that and get it underway. And again, if you know how to do it, that's great. Get on it. If you don't, absolutely talk to a financial advisor. They provide them for free at the bank. They may be able to help you. Lord knows they're paid to, so it would be nice. But that said, I am quite open to explaining to people what has to be done, but you're still responsible for your own. Now, there's a lot of books that tell you how to make money if you've got several thousand to play with. Well, I don't have several thousand to play with, but I can tell you how to make money work and make money. Make it work for you. Okay, simple fact of the matter is I've been living one step from above the poverty line. Well, not even really, but one step ahead of being homeless for my entire life. I finally figured out why I was doing it backwards. But that being said, I will be back again tomorrow. Until then, take care of yourselves and each other, and for pity's sakes, stay positive.